I'm Dennis Andersson, and I am secretary of FunkiS in Sweden. And FunkiS is an organization where most OVK inspectors are members. And we have had, as said, obligatory ventilation control in Sweden since 1991. And as you see in this picture, OVK also has been in practice in Åland. And Åland is a part of Finland. It's an island in the Baltic Sea. And they have had OVK since 2018. So as I know, we have OVK in two countries in Sweden. It's in Europe, I mean, of course, it's Sweden and Finland. Well, the background to OVK was in Sweden that we had problems appear in people in the form of allergies and other hypersensitivity symptoms. It was called the sick building syndrome. And among the factors that were assumed to contribute to ill health in the users were three factors in focus: the building's ventilation system, the building material, and moisture in the building. And the role of the OVK regulation is to control the ventilation in buildings. And the control is done before the ventilation system is taken in operation and after that on regular intervals, except for single and two family houses that are only checked once. The purpose of OVK is to secure that the indoor climate is good and that the ventilation system is functioning. And which buildings and ventilation systems are subject to OVK in Sweden? Well, as you see here, the starting point is that most buildings must be inspected. And for one and two family buildings, a recurring inspection is not required, but only an initial inspection. And some buildings and ventilation systems are completely exempt from the requirement for OVK. It's, as I said, one and two family buildings with natural or fan control exhaust ventilation. They should never be inspected. Farm buildings, industrial buildings like the factories and so on. And last, as you see, military buildings that are of a secret nature, they should not be subject to OVK. We have two intervals in Sweden concerning to OVK. It's either 3 or 6 years. And the number one thing is when you choose between the intervals, it's the function of the building. And the second thing that determines is the type of ventilation system. So as you see in these tables, preschool, schools, care facilities, and other similar buildings, regardless of the type of ventilation systems, it should be checked every 3 years. And then apartment buildings, office buildings, staff rooms and offices in industrial buildings and the like, it's 3 years. And then 6 years is apartment buildings, office buildings and staff rooms and offices that doesn't have supply air, which is fan controlled. And then, as I said, 1 and 2 family buildings with FX, FT and FTX ventilation, only an initial ventilation inspection needs to be done. So no recurring inspection. And how should the OVK be done? Well, at each OVK, it must be checked that 1, the ventilation system doesn't contain contaminants that can spread throughout the building. That number 2, instructions and care instructions are ready available for the persons who should take care of the ventilation system. And number 3, that the ventilation system otherwise works as intended when it was installed. In addition, the first inspection also should check that the function and characteristics of the ventilation systems comply with the current regulations, which means the building code when the ventilation is installed. And when you look at the periodic inspections, you should check that the function and characteristics of the ventilation systems are essentially in accordance with the regulations in force when the systems was put in use the first time. And number two, which is a rather big difference from the first inspection, is that on a periodic inspections, you should also check to what measures could be done to improve energy conservations in the ventilation systems and that don't result in deteriorating indoor climate. And it's the owner of the building who decides whether to implement the energy conservation suggestions or not. And then it's the owner of the building who must ensure that errors and deficiencies discovered at OVK are rectified, and this should be done as soon as possible. And also the owner is responsible, also even between inspections, for taking the necessary measures to ensure that the requirements for the ventilation systems are met and for them to be maintained so that their essential technical characteristics are preserved at all time, because it's of vital concern for the people living and working in the buildings. And then it's the municipality who is responsible for control and supervision of OVK. And it's the municipality's building committee that will monitor the building owners that they take care of their obligations to OVK. If the owner of the building doesn't carry out the OVK, the building committee can order the owner to carry it out. And if it appears from a protocol that the requirements for functional inspections are not met, the building committee can order the owner to investigate and rectify the deficiencies. And this order may be combined with a fine. There also are possible to exempt the inspection intervals. And if there are valid reasons why the inspection cannot be carried out within the interval, or that it doesn't provide any intended protective function, you can apply for exemptions from the regular inspection interval. For example, it may be that the building isn't in use, or that there is a major change in direct connection with the regulation intervals, and that is therefore better to wait for a new first inspection. It may also be that because it's not possible to gain access for inspection for reasons that the property owner cannot influence. For example, this was used during the COVID pandemic. And it's the building committee that assesses the possibility of exemption in the individual case. OVK is done by certified ventilation inspectors in Sweden as in Åland. And the inspection must be carried out by a certified inspector. And it's an expert functional inspector who is certified by an accredited certification body who will carry out the inspection. And the inspector must write an OVK protocol, and this must be submitted to the building's owner and to the municipality's building committee. Certified must be posted in a clearly visible place in the building so everyone can see that OVK has been done and the result of the OVK, if it's okay or not, the ventilation. As I said, I'm the secretary of FunkiS. FunkiS is an organization who most of the OVK inspectors in Sweden is a member of. FunkiS is a non-profit association. It were formed in June of 1993. Our activities are financed through members' fees and symposium fees, because we meet once a year and have a meeting and talk about the ventilation and technical achievements and so on. The membership in FunkiS is personal and can be acquired by anyone who has the authority to perform OVK or is a municipal administrator of OVK, as well as certified ventilation adjusters. The work of FunkiS is focused on interpreting the OVK regulations and informing our members about administrative technical, ethical, and legal aspects, as well as giving the concrete instructions that the interpretation entails. I will now talk about experience from OVK in Sweden. First, from something called Modernized OVK that was done in 2017. This report presents results on how the OVK works, both in theory and in practice, and it identified suggestions for development of the OVK. And to get a broad picture of the OVK, interviews were made with persons related to OVK. It was building owners, OVK controllers, administrators at the municipality, legislators, organizations, etc. And based on this, suggestions were made for how OVK could develop to better suit its purpose. The interviews show several results. First, an approved OVK is not a guarantee that the indoor environment is satisfactory, since the current use of the premises isn't always taken into account. And the study also shows that the follow-up of the OVK from the municipality often are inadequate. Moreover, energy-saving measures that should be included in the OVK are handled very differently, and the level varies considerably. Possible improvements of OVK from this review was, as you see here, top priority was to include the indoor environment and the use of the premises in the OVK in a better way. Intermediate priority was that you should have the possibility to take out the fee from the municipality for processing OVK cases. A uniform, preferably electronic protocol. The training and skills enhancements for OVK inspectors and OVK administrators should be taken place, and requirement for the same OVK inspectors that they should perform both the first inspection and post-inspection when the building owner has rectified the fault discovered during first OVK. The lowest priority was minimum requirements for energy-saving measures. And then last year, the organization called Swedish Ventilation made a review, and they found out that the most common remarks in schools was that you find flow affecting dirt and ductwork, too low airflows in relation to the activity for which ventilation is adapted, the lack of service and maintenance of the ventilation system, a larger number of pupils or children than the premises are intended for, new changed operations, which means that the ventilation is no longer adapted to the activities in each room, and last, demand control ventilation that doesn't work as intended. Improvements suggested by Swedish Ventilation are, as you see here, OVK should take greater account of the operation by, for example, including the number of people in each classroom. That you should introduce a uniform digital OVK protocol and a national register for this. And last, enable municipalities to charge a fee for the supervision of OVK. And with this, I say thank you. Thank you for your attention.